Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hopefully the screen sharing is working properly here. It looks like it is. My name is Shannon Holmes. I'm a medical physicist at Standard Imaging. Um, and I'm excited today to be able to show you one of the new features in the MAX Elite Electrometer, our live data plotting. So a little bit of housekeeping. If you've been to our webinars before, you've seen this. We do record the webinars, so you'll get an email link to the recording afterwards. If you have questions through the webinar, please feel free to put them in the Q&A dialog box in Teams at any point. Teams doesn't make this super easy for me to monitor that as I'm going through the talk, so we'll circle around to those at the end. And for those of you who are listening from international locations or whose preferred language is not English, you can turn on live captions in the language that you'd like to see. Just please don't change the spoken language or you'll mess that up for everybody else. So with that, for those who have not seen the MAX Elite Electrometer yet, this is our newest electrometer. It's got a very easy to use and intuitive user interface to walk you through your settings, make your measurements as easy and intuitive as possible. It's got the largest capacitive touchscreen available for these electrometers. Yes, it will work with nitrile gloves on. I've been asked that question before, just like your phone. It's a nice responsive touchscreen. We have a carry handle for the electrometer that doubles as a stand. So it's got several different positions. If you're sitting more above it or standing above it, it can be flatter on the table. If you're sitting down or it's more at head height, you can tip it up higher so that you can see and access that screen as easily as possible. We also allow you to operate the unit remotely from your computer, and it'll mirror the screen there. So if that's the easier way to do it for you, you can certainly operate it that way as well. It's got a fast warm up. It's ready very quickly to make measurements. And then we've also added fast zeroing and fast settling features to this electrometer, again, so that it's very responsive in order to allow you to get straight to measurements as quickly as you can. There's a little camera at the top of the screen that will read data matrix codes that can now be requested as part of your chamber calibrations within the US at least. The ADCLs are providing that as a service, although usually you have to request it still. If you have a chamber calibration with a data matrix code, you can scan that data matrix code and it'll automatically populate the chamber library within the MAX Elite, just again to make things a little bit smoother and easier for you. The Elite is available in 3 different configurations. They're factory configurations for a single channel, 2 channel, or 4 channels. The single channel electrometer is the basic model. It has the core features that you need, but is a little bit more budget friendly because we've taken a couple of things out. It has, of course, the touchscreen. It does not have the camera, so you would have to enter your chamber calibrations manually if you're using the electrometer for your dose calculation. It has a maximum bias voltage of 450 volts, so that will handle most of your ionization chambers. And it provides you with a femtoamp resolution on the data display. The 2 and the 4 channel electrometers are the more advanced electrometers. They do have the premier features that we offer with the MAX Elite. That includes this new live data plotting feature that I'm going to show you. That's available in the 2 channel and the 4 channel units. We've also, for anybody who's listening from Japan, we have just added Japanese language as a display option for local language display. The 2 channel has that remote operation capability, and we've added direct data download. That's something that I wanted to get in there as soon as we could, so that if you're operating it from your computer, you can download your CSV data file directly to your computer. It has the camera for the data matrix based chamber calibration entry. And then again, usually it's people, the Japanese, who are asking for the very high resolution data display, but for those outside of that country as well who want extremely high resolution on the data, we do offer the 10th of a femtoamp resolution. The two channels on have independent bias and independent range settings, so you're not stuck measuring needing to have matched type chambers or matched signals when you're measuring with both channels. And it does go up to a maximum bias voltage of 1,000 volts. So that is needed for some of the slightly larger spherical chambers and extremely large spherical chambers that we provide as well. The 4-channel unit is like the 2-channel with those premier features, but the highest number of channels we offer for when more than 2 multiple simultaneous measurements are required. So a couple places where people are using those additional channels, we have a chamber intercomparison jig where you can get rid of the need for radioisotope-based check sources and check your chamber stability just using an accelerator instead. So it's an intercomparison for 3 chambers. That way, if one chamber has been damaged and is no longer providing stable signal, there are 2 other channels that are chambers that you can use to compare with it. Again, just to enable you to do that stability measurement without necessarily having to have a radioactive check source. The other place where it's frequently used is in something like our tomotherapy cheese phantom, where people make multiple measurements simultaneously within that. We have been selling this across the globe. We're adding regulatory clearance areas. India is the most recent one that has been added. But if you're outside the list of locations where we currently have regulatory clearance and you're interested in the MAX Elite, please reach out. We are adding countries actively on a case-by-case basis as we have demand for the electrometer. So with all of that out of the way, I'm actually going to switch over to a live connection with the electrometer that I have sitting right next to me. This is what the interface looks like if you're operating it remotely, but it is a mirror of what's on the device itself. So once it gets past its, actually I might, yeah, it's fine. Once it gets past its warm-up screen where it does its 1-minute countdown for warm-up, it will take you automatically to this measure page. This is where you would be spending the majority of your time. But we have some setup configurations for your Wi-Fi network, or if you're hardwired for Ethernet, in order to give you your IP address, which allows you to connect to it. Settings for the electrometer are fairly self-explanatory. This is your detector library where you can have multiple detectors, have the calibration coefficients there that can be applied. We do have a check source calculation page where if you're using a check source, you can have the information about your check source in here with its starting activity and current activity for today, or if you're looking at data from a different day, you can calculate for a different day as well. General preferences is where we have that language option for local language display. Oops, and I don't really need to go into advanced info, but that has additional information about some of the software builds. So most of what you would do would be here in this measure page. Because I have a 2-channel electrometer, I can choose how many channels I'm displaying. I can choose whether I'm making a continuous measurement, a timed measurement, or a triggered measurement. Bias control for, actually I'm not going to turn bias on because I have an external current source attached right now. That's what's giving me this little bit of an offset on voltage, so that I can show you a little bit more about how this functions. You can select your range again from a drop down. If you want to apply a dose calibration, you can apply a system factor and select which which chamber you want to use, which calibration you want to use. And then you can also select whether you want to apply a temperature pressure correction factor. We autofill the pressure based on a sensor that's in the unit itself. But since temperature has to be at the location of your probe and not the location of the electrometer, we can't autofill that for you. So if we put in a temperature here and apply that, it will give me a little thermometer icon on my dose value to let me know that I have applied that temperature and pressure correction factor. I'm going to take these off for the moment. Just to show you general function, if I were to make a measurement, let me turn on, I have a basic current source here on my desk. You can see the rate measurement went up when I turned the current on. If I wanted to make a measurement, we'll just do a continuous one for the moment. I can manually start it, manually stop it. And it saves that measurement right here to my data table. It's also saved to the master data table that's in the next tab over. But what I want to show you is that I can now display a live chart of these measurements as I'm making them. It only plots during the measurement collection. So this control is still for the same measurement collections that you would be doing otherwise. I can select if I'm showing charge or rate. And then I can auto scale this plot to show me everything I've measured so far, or I can set a fixed range and watch the data scroll past. So if I were to start a measurement here of measured charge, it's fairly boring because it's a continuous, it's a continuous source here. But I stop my measurement, and this was simply the accumulated charge. If I start a new measurement, it will append it to my plot. So you see, I start another one and I get this lovely sawtooth pattern just because I've got a stable current source. A more interesting measurement just from my desk here is a rate measurement, in part because my current source is a little bit slow to respond because of the way this is set up. So if I just turned off my current as I started the measurement, I can turn it on again. And you can see the rate ramp up and then ramp back down again because of the way I have this current source set up. So once I have live data, I can save either an image of this plot, and you see it goes right to my downloads folder. If I were to open that up, you can see there's that plot we're looking at. Same thing with the 10 Hertz sample data. I can download that as well, and it saves it as a CSV file with all of my individual points from that plot. If I want to start a new measurement, clear the plot, I can reset the plot and start it again. Actually, here's a fun one. We can go, we'll do a charge measurement with a 5-second fixed range, and I can turn these charges on and off. And as I turn it off, it'll plateau, turn it on again. We're accumulating. This is maybe a little bit more like if you were doing an IMRT measurement. But it's scrolling through as I'm collecting. If I stop my measurements, I can scroll back and look at these data. If there's something in particular I want to investigate on, there was a blip in my chamber behavior or some such thing, I can also switch it back to the auto scale and see the full plot again, for where I was turning current on and off, similar to if your IMRT measurement is irradiating your chamber at one time versus another. Once I close this plot and I uncheck the display chart, all of those measurements that I made are still here in my data table, so that it's not an either or in terms of I'm either doing a live plot or I'm doing an integrated measurement. The integrated measurements are still saved. And then on my data table, I can select my measurements if I want, download them from here with the individual channels, or I can download them from that measure page where I was before. I think that's about all I was going to show you. I will, Ashley, do we have any questions yet while I've got the demo up?
No questions have come through yet, but if you have them, just
Okay.
please submit them in the chat or the Q&A area, and we'll answer them.
Okay, in that case, I will switch back over to my PowerPoint. Whoops, wasn't on the page I wanted. I don't have anything else to show you at this point, so I would say thank you for coming. If you are headed to Estro, we will have a booth there. Unfortunately, I won't be there. I'd love to go to Stockholm, but Standard Imaging will be there. Please, if you're going, feel free to stop by and take a look at the MAX Elite in person. And with that, I guess if you have questions, please enter them. Otherwise, thank you once again for your time. Let's see, do you have any questions, Ashley?
None that I saw.
Okay. Well, I can give it another minute or so if people are typing. Oh, one thing that I know we have been asked is additional languages beyond Japanese. We will be adding additional languages based on demand, but adding those as we can. So if that's, again, something that's of interest to you, please reach out. That will help us know which languages to prioritize.
Thanks, Shannon. Not seen any more, so.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your time and look forward to talking to you again soon about our MAX Elite.